Kuf Vav
106.
106. Shmamina Omer Shtei Kedushas al Kois Echad. We learned that you can say 2 Kedushas on one coast. That's this concept of when you do Birchas Hamazon and Havdalah on the same coast, we see that that's capable of doing. Shmamina Beis Shammai Hivalib Rabbi Yehuda, that when they gave the order of what goes first, Besamim or Ma'orei Ha'esh, we paskin like Beis Shammai, Alibid Rabbi Yehuda, that first you do Besamim and then you do Ma'orei Ha'esh. Rav Ashi Omar Ta'amoy Pugamoy, the kosher bracha tzarich shir chadim yelsi. We said that if someone drinks from a kosher bracha, you can't use it for a kosher bracha anymore. We also said that a kosher bracha needs a shear. So the enachanami, they're all tied together. Meaning, if you start off, let's say your kos has a revius, and somebody drank a little bit from it, then you don't have the shear anymore. So basically, that's one thing. And this is what was meant. My taimo tamoy pagamo. Why is it that if someone tastes or drinks from the kosher bracha, that it makes it a kos pogum? It makes it a damaged kos mishum the kosher bracha tzarich shir, and you've minimized the shir. Rabbi Yaakov already copied achaz b'begima. He was makpid that even a jug of wine that had been drunk from before, that other people had drunk from, not necessarily from the jug itself, but mashma that, if it was passed around and other people drank from it, from that jug, he wouldn't use that. And that's the halacha of the Shulchan Aruch. But that's if someone drank from it. If chavis ktano ikad, aval b'chavis gdoila ein lahakbid. If it comes from a big barrel, then that's not a problem. Ravidi bar Shisha kabed akasu pegima. He was makpid on a coast that was drunk already. Or Rashi kabed afila chavisa pegimasa, even on a barrel. But we pass that a barrel is not a problem. A big barrel, a small barrel, yes. On Rabbanon, it says in Pasuk, the Aser Sadibros, Zachort Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho. Zochrei Walayayin means it's a Pasuk that teaches me Kiddush has to be done on Yayin. Eli Alabayom, that teaches me Kiddush in the daytime. But Laila Minayin, Talmud Zachor et Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho. So, Balayla minayin. What do you mean balayla minayin? Adarabba, ikar kedusha balayla u'kadosh. Kedusha has to be said as Shabbos comes in at night, right? The chikadosh chilas yom balayla kedusha. That at the moment that Shabbos begins, that's when you bring makadosh. And the su balayla minayin tamadlam is achras yom. So you said, where do we know it from night? And then you gave me an answer. You should remember the day. What kind of answer is that? The Tana asked, where's the source for saying Kiddush at night? And you gave a pasuk regarding Yom, Hachikam. So this is how you have to understand the Brisa. You have to say Kiddush on wine as the Shabbos comes in. The Rambam says, Mitzvah Saseh LeKaddish is Yom HaShabbos B'Dvorim. So it's a mitzvah saseh midoraisa to say something to sanctify the Shabbos b'dvar. Umedivrei soifri mitzvah l'kotro layayin. So that's why rabbinically there's a source to do it on yayin. Eli ala balayla bayom minayin. Where's the source that you have to say Kiddush in the daytime as well? Talmud Lemer Zachor es Yom HaShabbos. The pasuk that emphasizes the Yom. Now, by Yom, my Mavarech. What is the nusach of Kiddush by Yom? On Ravida Boyre Priya Geffen. All you got to do is make a bracha. Boyre Priya Geffen, and that's the Kiddush. Ravashi ikla mechuzah. Ravashi visited mechuzah. Amrulay, they said to him, L'kadish lan mar kiddusha rabba. Please make for us the big kiddush. Kiddusha rabba is the kiddush said in the daytime on Shabbos. Havulay, so they gave him a glass of wine. Svar, he was thinking to himself, he wasn't sure what their kavanah was when they said, make us a kiddusha rabba. Maybe they added things. So, well, he was thinking to himself, mani kiddusha rabba. What is this? So Omar kol brachos kulam b'prei gefen. So all brachos all brachos that need a code start off with b'prei gefen. So think about it. When you do a chuppah, you say bracha b'prei gefen. Then you make a bracha. Or if you're going to do a milah, and then you make a bracha. And so he knew that all brachas start with boy pragefen. So he said boy pragefen, Amri Beresha. And Amri pragefen v'agibe. And he looked around to see, are they waiting for him to say something else? So Chazalu sabat the gachim b'shas, but he saw an old man lean back and drink his wine. So he understood by himself that there is no other thing to say except the boy pragefen. It says in Koheles that a wise man, his eyes are in his head, meaning you got to use your eyes to see what's going on to be a chacham. And the Shulchan Aruch Or Chaim Reish Pei Tes says, "Bayom HaShabbos Mavarech Boy Pragefen Al Hayayin Lifnei Asuda," like we do. We add some psukim. We say B'Shamru. We say Zachar Yom HaShabbos L'Kacho. Those are not lav dafka. Those have been added. So why do they call it a Kiddushay Rabbah? So because some say it's because of Kavod Shabbos, we say we give it that kind of Kavod. Other people say it's because, since it's such a small bracha, that's why they called it a Kiddush Gadol. Not to embarrass it. Rav Chia stated that if someone did make Havdalah Motzei Shabbos, you can make Havdalah the rest of the week. Ad Kama, until when? Am Rav Zera Ad Revi B'Shabbos, until Wednesday. Ki Hodi Yosef Rav Zera Kamed Ravasi. When Rav Zera was learning from Ravasi, Ravasi Kamed Rav Yechon, Yosef Kamar Me'inyan Gittin, Chad B'Shabta. When you're writing a get, L'inyan Gittin, Chad B'Shabta tray with plus a basar Shabta. When you're writing down what day of the week it is, when it comes to Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, those days are, for example, that you would say Yom Rishon LeParshas Pinchas, means it would reference the previous Shabbos. Those days belong to the prior Shabbos. Arba v'chamsho maliyum kamei Shabta, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday belong to the next Shabbos. And similarly, that's why Havdalah can extend not up until Tuesday night's the last time you can say Havdalah. Because Rashbam says v'lo ad bichlam. Aval Revi ve'elach gabi Shabbos haba mischashiv, right? From Wednesday on, it's considered to the next Shabbos. However, if you're going to make Havdalah not Saturday night, but you're going to do it Sunday night or Monday night, you don't use a candle. Because fire was created Motzei Shabbos. That's why we do it. That's why we make Motzei Shabbos. Amr Brun Amara. Anoitel Yadav Lo Yikad. So if someone Friday night and he goes and washes his hands for until Yadayim, so he shouldn't make Kiddush, because that Kiddush is going to be mafsik between the Tzitz Yadayim and Achilas Lechem. If he make Kiddush, he'd have to wash his hands again. Rather, somebody else should make Kiddush, he should listen to it and be silent. All Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta, Akati lo nach nafshe derav shchachinu l'shmaitse. Not that long since Rav passed away, and therefore we forgot his halachas. Because Zin and Sagina v'kamina kamei derav, we used to be in front of Rav, and Zin and the Chaviva le Rifta, there were times where he would rather have enjoyed bread rather than wine. And he would make Kiddush ala pas. And he would wash his hands first and make the Kiddush ala pas and eat the pas. However, sometimes Zin and the Chaviv le'chamra mekadosh hacham. When he wanted wine, he would make it on the wine. So we see Kiddush is not a hafsaka bein Tzitz Yadayim v'achila, because Rav sometimes would wash his hands before Kiddush, make Kiddush al yayin, and then make hamotzi, and then eat. So let's look at the Shulchan Aruch. Misha natal yadav kodem Kiddush. If somebody did it this time prior to Kiddush, so Gila Bekach, he sort of revealed Daito, Shapas Chavivalov, that he prefers bread to wine. So Ikadish alapas v'lo alayayin. So the Rif said, he brings the Rif, that the Rif said that he should make he should just say by Chulu and say Baruch Atah Amoitzi Lechem Min Haaretz and then finish the Kiddush and then eat the bread. V'yesh Shomerim Shalchatchila Tzarech Litol Yodav Koydem HaKiddush L'Kadish Alayayin. So the Ramon, the name of the Rosh and the Mordechai, says you should wash your hands before Kiddush and make Kiddush on wine. However, Kosu Kamachronim Shemutav Lismoch Al Dei Rishona, that if he washes his hands, he should not use the wine. By the
way, the yekes,
that's the yekes.
Yeah.
That's the Mishnah.
They wash, and they make on the yayin, and then
they make on the
make
yayin.
it.
They finish the Kiddush, then I say Amotzi Lechem Min Haaretz and they eat.
How come you don't follow your minhag of your mother?
No, because remember, my mother's father was a Belzer Chussid, and in Frankfurt he davened in a Belzer Shtibel. My mother became a shtickle yekka because she went to the Shimshon Rafal, her school, with her brothers and sisters, so they became more yekkas. But for example, my uncle Bubi, Yitzchak Kanye, who lived in Belgium, in Brussels, so he feared himself. He didn't fear himself like with Yekim Minogim. He wore a guard to like the father. He was more Hasidish, like bells. He wasn't a Belzer Chusid, but they didn't. But they took 3 hours. So they took some of them in Hagim because they went to school. When he was 12, my mother was
3 hours they took. They were makel on certain things.
Yeah, because in the home, Miss Blue McCarnell, that's how they conducted themselves later on. Because I guess they lived in Frankfurt for almost 30 years.
You hold 3 hours?
We hold 3 hours, yes. And so does my wife.
I hold like the Dutch people. I come from a Dutch state. We hold 1 hour.
It's true.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
a bower. You're a bower, right?
He's a boar. It's true.
Outside, but it's very funny that they did different in hockey.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know what it's probably similar. I think South Africa was a more homogeneous place. What I'm telling you by homogeneous. In America, and Harold can tell us about Pennsylvania. So we went to Hillel Hebrew Academy. It was such a polyglot. You understand? Everyone had different, you had Sephardi,
Yeah.
but not too many. But you had Yakis, you had Polish, and you had Hungarian. You got a certain minhag from your teachers.
Exactly.
And my
You didn't know.
parents, when I got old enough, so then I would query from my mother. My dad had passed away already, so what he had followed his wife. My father followed the minhagim of his wife because he was from Vienna, and he didn't. I don't know what so they were Galicianers too, but he followed his wife's minhagim because my grandmother lived in our home. My grandmother was like a tzaddikus. So he followed them, and I only then found out what our
She wasn't like a tzaddik. She wasn't tzaddik.
She was.
No, but we basically followed what our teachers told us. So then we grew up, but you see, South Africa, it sounds like was a strong Lithuanian background. You didn't have the same
but you had the Yekas. You had Yekas in South Africa. South Africa had a minhag of 3 hours. They did not have a minhag of 6 hours.
Even the major Lithuanian community felt 3 hours.
Absolutely, they had a minhag of 3 hours. I'm not joking. So and basically there were a lot of Dutch Jews that lived in South Africa also. They had a minhag of 1 hour. But there was no listen, my father lay with a Yekish Nigun. I'm just telling you. So I just.
By the way, Walter, when you say the brachas of the Haftorah after the Haftorah, you do the Yekish minhag. You don't even realize.
Yeah, no, I know what it is. I know what it is.
Anachnu moidim lach. That's a Yekish tune.
Because
Glickman Harold Glickman taught us we didn't learn that one. Larry Eisenberg, Mamish does it the whole way.
No, that's Yekis.
But Walter,
sure, yeah.
when he does it, he does that part Anachnu moidim lach like the Yekis. It's very interesting.
Yeah, there were a lot of Yekish minhagim that we I don't know where it was picked up. I don't know from.
Yeah, because Rav Koshovsky was not a Yeki. He was from Vilna. He was the
Rav
he was Chaim Oizer's brother-in-law.
Chaim Oizer's brother-in-law, but Chaim Oizer was in England afterwards. Chaim Oizer was in England afterwards.
No,
right?
He died in Vilna in 1940. When you say afterwards, after what?
Okay, he would. Okay, but his progeny went to England. I don't know exactly.
Rav Chaim Oizer was the governor for 30 years. Huh?
His family lived afterwards in England. You should know. Rav Chaim
Ozer's family.
Right.
Do you know, by the way, here, you know, Rav Koshovsky was a huge gadol. He was sent by Rav Chaim Ozer. I learned a lot.
Nobody understands who Rav Kosovsky was. Believe me.
He was a gadol. He was. By the way, you know who his daughter was?
Yeah, of course. She was
Rabbi Shulman married Rav Kosovsky's daughter.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah.
Shulman from Shar Tefillah?
She. It doesn't surprise me. She was really
a
very refined person.
You know Rav Kosovsky. You know who the Chazan was in Rav Kosovsky's shul? Chazan Stern, who went to.
Oh, really? Moshe Stern.
Moshe Stern was the Chazan. Rav Kosovsky was the rabbi. Moshe Stern was the Chazan.
So let me ask you a question. Rav Kosovsky officiated in a shul where all those people used to come Friday night. Remember in South Africa, people used to come to daven Friday night.
It was called Beis Medrash HaGodel. That's where he was the rabbi, Beis Medrash HaGodel. That was called. And I remember going to shul there many times because my cousin, I had a cousin, Selwyn Feinberg, I still have a cousin, lives in Ranana today, right? Was there, and he went to Yeshiva College. He began Yeshiva College, basically. He was one of the Bochrim who started. And
Walter, I learned at Tshuva with Tzvika, a special shaila, because so many Jews in South Africa would come to shul Friday night. Men, women, there was a shaila, could you do laning Friday night? Because
I know that shaila, yeah.
They didn't come to shul on Shabbos. They came Friday night.
that's not exactly true, but a lot of people came to shul on Shabbos morning afterwards. There was a certain period. I can't say the period because
But was that
they-
from Kosovsky's shul too?
there were a lot of. I'm not sure if it. I think it was. I heard that tshuva from somebody. Yes, I think it was Rav Chasovsky shul. He told. I think it was regarding. It was regarding laning. I heard that.
It's regarding laning. Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah. I heard
fascinating
that.
shir.
I heard that a few weeks ago. I was listening to a drosha. Yes, I heard.
Right,
that,
it has
yes.
to do with. So, for example, there's no shaila. If, for example, if someone couldn't lane in the morning, you can lane by mincha. So you can do it afterwards.
Yeah, but
The
I
shaila
heard
was
that.
advanced. Can you do it before? This has to do with the laning, like on Purim.
On
That's
Purim,
where
it had to do with Purim. I heard that. And Rav Kovsovsky, Rav Chaim Oizer told him, he asked Rav Chaim Oizer, and Rav Chaim Oizer told him you can lane at night.
No, I don't think so. I have to know. I don't think so.
No,
But I learned. I
listen
never
to me.
knew that Rav Kosovsky, Rav Chaim Ozer's brother.
I'm just telling you, I heard this. You should double check it.
I will.
heard-
I'll give you the. I'm right now not remembering what the punchline was, but that was the shine. Anyways, so yes, what I was saying is the minhagim in America became completely homogenized, and many people they have the minhagim of the teachers that they taught them in the Torah and Masorah schools, whether they went it was in L.A. or New York, and the minhagim became forgotten and lost. Really, it's a sad thing unless you remember your family minhagim. Similarly, in terms of how people read Hebrew. So we were taught in Hebrew, Avaras Sfaradit, Torah Emet. We didn't say Torah Semes, but my ancestors said Torah Semes. But since in Hillel or Yavna they taught Avaras Sfaradit, that became how people spoke Hebrew. That's not how our grandparents spoke in Europe.
when I grew up, my father said good Shabbos.
Good. Well, he was a Litva. Okay. I was known as the good Shabbos kid, Rabbi Singer. Harold, do you remember Rabbi Singer? So he was he was a wonderful teacher. He died young. He used to call me, "Oh, Melech, good Shabbos." I had a lisp. I'm not a Litva, but Lady
Obviously, your
Marx's mother.
Havara was correct according to the Litvakas.
Lady Marx's mother was my speech
A speech therapist.
at
Yeah.
Hillel, and I would go in the afternoon a couple times a week, and she taught me how to say shin. That then remember in the shoftim we learned sibolet shibolet.
Sibolet, yeah.
Same thing. Okay. Amar Ravuna Mara. Tom. Let's say a person after Shkia Shabbos ate something or even drank something. So he's not allowed to make Kiddush. And therefore, he should not make the Kiddush Friday night and wait and do the Kiddush the following day prior to the meal in the daytime. That's what Rav Huna Marav says. Well, what about the other question? Let's say it's Motzei Shabbos, it's now Shkia, and he ate something prior to Havdalah. Is it the same din? So So he answered that if a person drank something or ate something, he can make Havdalah. So Rav Yirmiyah Barava Ikle be Ravasi. They gave him something to drink and he drank. They gave him the kos of Havdalah. He made Havdalah. So his wife said, yeah, but your Rebbe didn't do that way. That if you drink something or taste something, you can't be mafdil. So leave him. He had a special shita like his Rebbe, because he was a Talmid of Rav. Rav Yosef Shmuel Tom Eina Makadish. In Enchanami, if a person drank or ate something prior to Kiddush, he should not make Kiddush. And Tom Eina Mavdil. The same thing at Motzei Shabbos. But the Rabbi Rav Nachman Shmuel Tom Makadish for Tom Mavdil. Shmuel's halacha is that if you tasted something before Kiddush, you're allowed to make Kiddush. And the same thing by Havdalah. And that's how the Shulchan Aruch paskins. In Orach Chaim Reish Amid Ayin Aleph, Seif Zayin, it says, Misha Shachach v'Tom b'Shabbos if they Kiddush. Somebody ate something or drank something before Kiddush on Shabbos. Yuchal b'chol zos lekat Shabbos olayla. He can make Kiddush that night. Same thing by Abdullah. Misha Tom b'Motzei Shabbos kodem Abdullah. Yachol lahavdil achar. You can make Abdullah. Okay.
What time?
So
What
tomorrow
time
night.
tomorrow?
I think last week we